Hey guys, Natalia Schneimler here, and I help moms of boys have a better relationship with their boys and themselves. And I do this by teaching them about how to manage their own thoughts, their own mind, so that when anything happens in life, they can take care of themselves and not cause a fight in their relationships. So, how are you, everyone? I am doing so well. I just had some coffee, and so I'm pumped up. Okay, so I wanted to tell you that I wanted to offer you one way of how you can be compassionate with yourself after you mess up, especially with your kids, okay? So there's so many ways, but this one I borrowed from my parents. I think that's what they told me. So this is what my parents said to me, I think once. I can't quite remember, but the idea was that they said, it's my first time. Oh, I know, this is what happened. I was already grown up. And so my parents said, you know what? We've never parented a grown up before. Like we've never had grown up children. So we are figuring it out. We're, how to behave with you as a grown up. So I remember that as an example of this kind of thinking. And so now every time I mess up with my kids, I say, you know what? I'm sorry. I've never parented an 11-year-old. This is my first time. I'm still learning. I'm figuring it out. I see that you need more independence, and you know what? I'm going to give it to you, but I'm sorry I messed up now, right? This is my way of being understanding with myself about the mess up because the first time you ever do anything, of course you're going to mess up, right? The first time we ever we tried to walk, we were falling all the time. We couldn't walk. We couldn't walk at all. We were falling, crawling, right? So that, nobody judged that, right? Because it's natural. Whenever you do something for the first time, you will make mistakes. Whenever we learned to talk, the same thing happened. We were not talking well. We were learning. It took us years to learn to speak properly, right? So the same thing here. And so whenever I mess up with my oldest, I say that. And interestingly, now that I'm speaking to you, I wonder if I can use the same but the same reasoning with my other kids. And I think so, because even with my other kids, I can say, you know what? It's only my second time parenting a 10-year-old, right? That's the truth. I mean, we didn't learn to walk and talk on our second attempt. I didn't learn to blog or create podcasts on my second attempt. It took me years to get better at it and practice it and show up to it and learn how to do it and get comfortable doing it. So I think that we get many, many attempts at learning how to parent. And I think that's why a lot of grandparents do such a better job at loving the grandkids, is because they've had so much practice in loving unconditionally, and they've had lots of more years of parenting under their belt. So more years to realize what's important, what's not important, where to fight, where not to fight, where to love, right? So I think that this angle, this reasoning can be a useful tool to be understanding with your own mess ups, be compassionate with your own mistakes with your kids, right? So just like, actually this came up when I went for dinner with our friends, and my friend, she was kind of being a little bit hard on her husband and saying, oh, you should do this and you shouldn't get mad at him. He's just like you. We were talking about kids, right? And she was saying you should just, let him be, and you should parent this way and that way. And I actually came to his defense and I said, you know what? He's this father. He's also figuring it out for the first time. He's never had a 13-year-old before. This is his first time. Give him a break, right? Because he also, as a father, has to figure it out. It's totally fine. So we need to, this kind of angle can help us take the pressure off at being perfect and be understanding with mistakes, because we have never parented a 13-year-old before, right? It's our first time with dealing with whatever issue. So I wanted to share that with you. And again, you hear these messages as thoughts, right? These are thoughts that I'm sharing with you that helped me create my understanding and compassion for myself. They might not work for you, but the idea is that you find your own flavor of the thoughts. You find your own reasoning that works for your head to give yourself a break, to not beat yourself up after you yell at the kids, to be understanding and compassionate, and be honest with your kid and just tell them the truth. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I do this all the time. I have to tell him sorry all the time because I am reasonable and I agree. You know what? This was not cool, and I'm sorry, and I'm still learning. And that way I gain their trust and they see that I'm reasonable, that I'm not just like a dictator. Okay, guys. I'm not trying to brag about myself. I'm just sharing what works because there's so many things that don't work. So have a great weekend. I'm always here for you when you need any help. Again, the way I know all these things is from my own head. How do I do that? Is because I just observe what works, what doesn't, and what thought stands behind it and what feeling. And I'm sharing with you because it might work for you, right? But if it doesn't, that simply means we need to go into your head and find out what you're thinking right now. That's all. We don't even need to change it. This is the beauty of it. And the way to do that is to talk to me or to any coach and to find out what it is that you're thinking. And then you can have awareness. Oh, of course, I'm having this reaction because I'm thinking this and feeling that. So I highly encourage to talk to a coach. I'm always here for you. Talk to me anytime. And I can even teach you how to do this on your own so you can coach yourself. So you don't need to come see me all the time. But that is the difference between listening to the podcast, and if it doesn't work for you, then you still need to go into your own head and find out what you're thinking now. Okay? All right, guys, sign up for a session, which is at my website, www.coachingnatalia.com, and go to sign up for a free mini session, and we'll talk there. Okay? Have a great weekend. I love you. Bye.